Can you just, for the people that don't know what a gold level scholarship, explain what a gold level scholarship is? Over to you.
Yeah, so I had my Pinnacle event, and if you do well in your Pinnacle event, you were awarded a gold scholarship, and that was to use once you decided to retire from your competitive career. So when I stepped away from that half-pipe scene, I had this beautiful gold scholarship waiting for me, and I had an abundance of money that I could use towards whatever I wanted, and it was just so cool to have that waiting for me and know that I could plan to do something really cool. It didn't have to be schooling, it could be anything, and I used that towards something very different. And I'm still, in the snow sports industry, but doing something completely different, and I'm still passionate about the snow sports industry, so I love it.
That was very well explained, thank you. Way better than I could have done. So thank you. William, so you're currently studying at UC. You're doing an engineering honours degree in electrical and electronic engineering. So what support has helped you balance this with your intense studies and your training and your international campaigns as well?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a balancing act, getting everything right, but you've had a lot to do with that, helping me with universities and going to them and explaining the situation of that I'm an athlete as well as studying electrical engineering, and the University of Canterbury has been pretty receptive to that and let me study engineering part-time, which is not usually, you're not meant to do that, so that's been really helpful over the last 5 years now studying, so slowly getting it done, still probably another 3 to go, but it's nice to be able to have something at the end of my athletic career that's not just sport. And also my family and has been really helpful as well. I think one of the trickier things has probably been doing exams overseas a couple of times. You're overseas and you just want to be training and focusing on that, but you've got to do these exams. But it's worked out all right in the end, and it's pretty cool that I get to do both at the same time. So the Prime Minister's Scholarship has just really enabled that to happen big time. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And being organised, in terms of, studying overseas in between Pinnacle events, Will. So, Anna, what?
I witnessed it.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
So, Anna, moving along to you, what difference does it make going into your Paris campaign, knowing you have already started to make inroads into your career in quantity surveying?
Yeah, I think the last few years since Tokyo have really been sort of an up and down road, and I think part of the position I'm in now, feeling really excited for next year, confident in my abilities, has been finding the other side of Anna that isn't just Anna the athlete, finding my passions and what I'm interested in outside of sport, and also having conversations with people that don't know anything about athletics, that don't know anything to do about high performance sport. We can talk about what I did on the weekend and what we had for breakfast or whatever. That's been really cool, and I think the internship really helped me link in, I guess, all of the study that I also did through Prime Minister's scholarships into real world experience, which I wasn't sure how I was going to get to from just study, still being in, high performance sports. So, I think it's sort of helped unlock the other side of me, because I think sometimes sport can be quite stuffy and you get, sucked in, and it's hard to see the other parts of you that aren't sport related. So it's been really cool.
So you're exploring other parts of, other dimensions of Anna as well. So we're going to come back with some more questions for you in a minute. But Janina, I'm coming back to you and we'll tag team again. You were a founding member of SALT, which is Snow Sports Athlete Leadership Team. And you're still a snow sports ambassador, which is awesome. So tell us a little bit about what Give Back has meant for you and why you're doing it.
Yeah, so I am a founding member of the SALT team and still an ambassador for snow sports. So giving back has been incredibly important to me. SALT is a great platform for the athletes at Snow Sports New Zealand to empower themselves and have a voice and kind of pave pave the way for themselves, the carded athletes, and for those that are coming after them. So it's a great initiative, and through those kind of initiatives and mentorship, yeah, it's just been super important for me to want to give back and kind of have this great space and future for the athletes involved and for, you know, athletes that are coming through. And I want to provide that space for them to be able to succeed and have help to be able to succeed.
So on that note, how would you, or what would you say to other athletes that are interested in giving back in their respective sports?
I mean, you don't need to go all out there. I mean, any little bit of help that you can give back will go so far, and that can just be mentoring someone or just, you know, talking to a younger athlete and just being like, wow, you know, great jump, or you know, for me, it's more like with the snow sports industry, it's like, hey guys, they want to know how they can get sponsors, so I'm like helping them and creating an area where they can come to me and I can give them information and help, you know, just how to write a proposal to get sponsorship and things like that. So I'm trying to open doors for them and give them as many possibilities as, you know, as they can have.
I love that. Man, I would have loved to have someone like you when I was a young thing coming through as well. So, William, you were the youngest member at 15, I think, or 16, at the 2016 Paralympics. So I remember you very, very well. Middleton Grange, and you were a young, shy thing in year 11, going off to your first Paralympics. But how do you think you have grown as an athlete and a person along the way? It's a big question.
Yeah, no, it's very different now than when I was 16 going to Rio. I didn't really know what I was doing. It was pretty nerve-wracking. You know, even being away from home for 6 weeks or so, it was a pretty big thing. But yeah, I've developed a lot, and I think a lot of that has been the mental skills side of sport. It's really important. It's probably the most important thing. I remember 2017 at World Championships, I didn't do too well in a couple of events, and I came away from that realising, oh, actually, the mental skills part of this is really important, because I was in the good physical shape, but I just didn't perform. And so I've worked a lot with John Quinn, you know, developing kind of strategies to make sure to stay focused, to deal with the pressure, to perform at my best. And it's probably been one of the biggest improvements since then. I mean, obviously, just having experience and being older really helps as well, because now when I go out there and I compete at these big events, like I've done it before, so I know that I can do it, and that's a really nice thing to have behind you.
And William, also, you're now in your 20s and you've actually got a life outside study. You've got married as well in the last year, 2 years?
It started last year.
Yeah, so your life has evolved significantly since you're a young 16-year-old.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so Anna, we're on to you again. What has been the biggest surprise or the biggest challenges about stepping into the working world and having what a lot of athletes think is a real job?
I think realising that obviously study set me up well for the basics, but that most of my understanding wasn't real world, and it wasn't. And stepping into a business, there's so many more moving parts. There's different people, different levels of the business, and things are flying at you, and you just don't know what's going to happen next. And I think that was a really interesting part for me. Excuse me. Not necessarily having a load of responsibilities, but watching other people with their responsibilities as well. And also, I guess, for me, as you said about a real job, I think that's been an interesting part of this process for me. I think I initially felt quite uncomfortable with my level of success so early on in my career and felt like I should be getting a real job. And I guess that's sort of where I got to with this internship, was like, right, cool, a chance to get into a real job. But I guess for me, throughout this process, and learning a lot more about myself and my strengths and where I, best put my energy and what I want to do. I guess it's been a really cool learning curve to actually realise that there's so much power in me being an athlete, using my platform, talking, sharing my story, and that it is a real job just as much as sitting, in a construction office is. This is my job now, and I want to make the most of it. It's a pretty epic opportunity. I mean, I know little Anna could not believe that she gets to do this for a living right now, and I think that's been a really cool full circle moment from being uncomfortable that I didn't fit the job box, and now being incredibly proud of what I'm able to do every day.
Oh, that was such a brilliant answer. So well articulated. Thank you, Anna. Well done. So, Janina, I'm coming back to you again. So how many years were you an HP athlete, and what advice would you give a younger version, a little bit like what Anna just said then, what advice would you give a younger version of yourself when you were just entering the high performance pathway?
Okay, so I was a high performance athlete for almost a decade, so maybe almost 9 years. I'm just going to say a decade because it sounds better. And there is so much advice that I would give my younger self. Firstly, I guess the first thing I would say is, embrace change. You can write so many IPPs, and you can be having that plan to the point, and then sometimes that plan doesn't go right. You might have an injury, and I would say that if that happens, just remember that take an injury as an opportunity to learn and to grow and adapt. A second piece of advice I would say is to look after your body. It's so important. For the young athletes, you can just push and push and push, and you don't know that actually your body needs a rest. And I learnt that the hard way with having a couple injuries that could have actually taken me out of my sport. And lastly, I don't know, I think that's just kind of the two main pieces of advice I think I would give. I would say, if you can seek guidance, I think it's so important. If you can have access to a mentor, have a mentor. Get out there, ask them. They have great experience in your field, or just competitive experience. It's so important. And I have young athletes come up to me, and they're super courageous to come and ask me to mentor them. And it's just such a valuable thing to have if you have access to that. So don't be afraid to ask someone to mentor you. I guess that would be the three things.
I think the younger Janina would have been very proud of who you are now as well. So William, you've been a Paralympian for a really long time, right? And you went to 2016, you went to 2020/2021, and you're working towards Paris next year. How do you sustain your passion, and what are your future goals? You've talked a little bit about it, but fill us in a bit more.
Yeah, I think it does change your motivation and your passion over time as an athlete. I remember when I was 12, I watched the Paralympics in London, and I was like, whoa, this is just so cool. I really want to do this. This is just amazing. And that was kind of the initial motivation, I guess. But over time, I think it's more just I'm quite a goal-oriented person. So having competitions coming up that I can aim for and then work towards is really motivating for me. I really enjoy the process of trying to get myself as fast and as strong as possible. It's quite fulfilling. And then the challenge of competing not only in training or small competitions, but actually performing on the big stage. And so for me, just having goals of competitions each year, I find that a real motivating thing.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what you can do next year along with you, Anna, as well. So I'm going to finish with lucky last question for you, Anna. Athletes have loads and loads of transferable skills, which I don't think you know how many transferable skills you have, in fairness. But you've had a taste of this real world, doing your internship this year. What do you think are some of your own transferable skills that are going to help take you into the workplace eventually one day? And what are the things that the other athletes would hear about those transferable skills? Because you would have had to think about it applying for the internship as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think, sometimes it feels like the sporting bubble is sort of excluded from life, maybe. It's sort of in a realm of its own. And, oh my God, I used up all my voice in the interview outside. But I think, for me, I'm incredibly adaptable and adaptive. Is that a word? I don't know. Anyway, I've got water, but it didn't help. Sadly, thank you. I think, being born with a disability, life is made for, at least from my point of view, for people with two hands. And I think growing up with one, there were things every day that I had to learn to adapt, and taking that into the workplace, I think I didn't realise how often I did it in my day-to-day life and in sport. Most of the movements are for people with two hands and symmetrical people, and which I'm not. Most people at the Paralympics aren't. Most people in life aren't really, but I think that was an incredible... that was an incredibly eye-opening experience to be able to think outside the box in another area of my life. I also think we're incredibly determined people, and I think that was something I didn't really realise until I got sort of outside of sport. I mean, obviously I use it every day in sport, but that's sort of just like a baseline, skill that most athletes have. And being in the workplace, it became evident that, I kind of could see a goal and wanted to reach it. And I also just think every day I collaborate with many, many people on many different things. I take direction every day from my coach. I give direction every day to physios, to my coach, to massage therapists, and to be able to work in an environment where you have to collaborate every day on, different things. I think realising that was just a skill that I had worked at over time. I didn't realise I had it. But working in a wider team, I definitely noticed, my ability to communicate and work as a group and work to a common goal. That was really cool. But there's so many. I think you just get used to using them over and over again, that you don't see them as special or unique or something that sets you apart from others, but they definitely do.
Well, thank you so much, and we won't keep you talking anymore, Anna. But how amazing are these three awesome human beings, Janina, Will and Anna? Please, a round of applause for all of them.